and received remarkable support from Tom Gunn, the principal of the Nova Scotia Community College, their instructors and students. All trees, shrubs and bushes and supplies were purchased locally and planted by the students from the community college, assisted by students from the senior and elementary SAERC school. And it was unbelievable. Those kids were planting trees and the weather was like it is today. Cold as the devil. They're all laughing and joking. And I said to my young fella, how come you fellas are in such a good mood? He said, you know, Mr. Rising, someday I can come over here with my kids and stand here in Remembrance Day and point to the trees and tell my kids, I helped plant those trees. And I'll tell you, I'm still moved about thinking about something like that. That will mean that much to young people in the community. Anyway, the Nova Scotia Community College Carpentry and Welding class built the additional benches that are up here. And that's just great. We still have much work to do to get it finished. We want to put some flower beds in that will have flowers blooming from tulips in the spring to dahlias in the fall. And we will get it done. It takes time and it takes money. But I know that Belmont, if he were here today, unfortunately, we lost Belmont. He passed away a short time ago. But if Belmont were here, and I know Belmont for 40 years, arguing with him every day at the Legion, and he'd say to us, what do you think, Belmont? And he'd say, well, Roddy, you did a pretty good job for a bunch of rookies. And that's exactly what he'd say. Okay, now, I hope if you get any other questions on how this came about, I'll try to answer them later on. Now I'd like to ask Stephen Lewis from the TD Friends of the Environment. Is he here? Well, he's not here, but we certainly thank them for their grant. And of course we have to keep records to make sure that the money that they gave us was spent for what it was intended to be. I'll call on Mayor Billy Joe McLean, His Worship, for a few words.
Thank you, Roddy. I must say that I was standing there wondering how many days has the weather been nice in the morning and very cold and windy in the afternoon. And I often think it's the people that are in the Cenotaph reminding us what it was like overseas on many days. So a little bit of cold for us today serves very well in memory of them. Also, I'd like to mention that all of those people, I congratulate them for their involvement in the community, and especially those who are involved in the site. Again, I was thinking, the people in that Cenotaph, if they weren't there, we wouldn't be here. So I think we should keep the focus in mind of these people that are so dedicated in the Legion, keeping the memory of all of these veterans alive. And that's the job left with us today, and that's the job that's going to be passed on to our children and our grandchildren. And the more we focus on keeping that memory, the better our country will be. I'd like to thank the Legion for inviting me here as mayor. Any councillors here, by the way? The town council are very involved in this location, and we're very happy to be involved as leaders in the community. So we wish you all well. Thank you very much for your kind invitation.
I did mention before, but if it wasn't for the support of the town, we'd be still trying to get the thing done. Everybody to pitch straight in. I'd like now to call on Peter McLean from the Nova Scotia Community College for a few words. Yes, Peter.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter McLean, as mentioned. I'm from the Nova Scotia Community College. I have the good fortune to work with a lot of talented individuals, students, faculty, and staff at the college. And as a result, had the good fortune to have a small part to play in moving this project forward. The new Environmental and Educational Veterans Memorial Park sort of came into play. Waddy Long was instrumental in bringing that to my attention. And not long after, Belle McIntyre gave me a call. And I didn't know Belle. And or the reputation or the force or whatever that she has in the community. And she told me she had a plan. And so all she needed was a little bit of assistance to get some trees planted, to get some benches made and whatnot, and would I be willing to help out with that plan? So I thought, well, since she had all of these great intentions and whatnot, it would be the least we could do to help her along that road. So it soon became evident that the plan she had was very well documented and whatnot, so she soon produced a copy of it. So it wasn't an idle conversation, it was something she had very, very well in hand. Again, thanks to Waddy for providing a lot of that information. So as we move forward, we thought, how could we assist, or what sort of programs could we pull together? We took again, the faculty were very, very cooperative. And so we looked at the benches that were here. Belle mentioned that she had difficulty acquiring some additional ones, so we called on the welding department. If you look at the new benches in the back, the welding department welded the frames up. Carpentry actually cut the wood and fitted that together. So we created a design for that bench collaboratively, I guess, between those areas. And so it's kind of fitting when we think about the name of the park, the environmental and educational portion of it, because it's such a big part of where we're heading as a community and as a province and as a country. And the environmental training that we're doing at the college focuses not only in the environmental technology area, but it also focuses within each and every of the trade areas. It impacts just about on everything we do in our training day. And it's by no mistake that the first C in the NSCC stands for community, and that's a big part of what drives us. The reason we are in these communities doing this training is to support efforts like this, to educate and promote those educational opportunities within each of the 13 sites of the NSCC. And I think that's to the credit of the town and surrounding areas that we're able to become involved in a number of these projects. When we look at the second part, by no means the lesser part of the naming of this site, it's for the veterans, in and of the veterans. If we look at the cenotaph behind us and you think about the sacrifices, as Billy Joe mentioned, you know, you quite often stand out here on a cold day in November and you think about those men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we could have the freedoms that we have today, the freedom to be able to enjoy a lovely facility like this, and in the future to be able to come here and rest and reflect and think about not only the environment and what a nice setting this is, but also about those men and women that have passed on before us and gave us that opportunity to have those freedoms. My hope is that those who pause and rest here will reflect upon the beauty and nature of this site and think about the names that are engraved on the cenotaph and the sacrifices, as I mentioned. To all involved in this project, the Royal Canadian Legion members, the TD Bank, Friends of the Environment Foundation, and those that provided the funds and donations, I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations for a job well done. For the vision of Belmont Shannon and all of the deceased members of the Royal Canadian Legion, I'd like to think that this park would offer a space where the Legion pledge would ring true. That at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you very much. I'd like now to call on our MP, Alan Master, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. They say that people that plant trees are special, forward-thinking people because they often don't have a chance to enjoy those trees in their full bloom because it takes a whole generation to go by before that happens. So I congratulate you today, everybody who has been involved in this project. It shows that you're thinking about the future generations and the importance of our past generations. And these trees that will grow here will be a nice link to that. And so I congratulate you with special mention to Peter and Belle and Waddy, and I hope that it's a place for enjoyment for the people here in Port Hawkesbury for a long time to come. Thank you.
Thank you. call on Brian Shannon, Belmont's son, for a few words.
Mayor McLean, clergy, honored guests, members of the Legion, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My family and I thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of my father, Belmont Shannon, and the vision he had for the Port Hawkesbury Veterans Memorial Park. My father's vision. Belmont Shannon served as a member of the Royal Canadian Legion for over 60 years and nearly 50 here at Port Hawkesbury. And he was instrumental in the creation of this park.
Oh yes, I did that before.
Dad commented, "It's been my dream for a while when this park became reality." He wanted the park to truly reflect Canada. My father was able to see part of his vision come true with the installation of the granite marker dedicating the park, the installation of the flagpole, and courtesy of the Guzadal family, that from behind the Cenotaph is tall enough to see our flag at half-mast. And obviously there's some benches and places around when he was around that for the ceremonies and reflection. He also wanted maple trees to create a very beautiful place, and flowers. He was partial to tulips because of his time in Holland and his connection with the Dutch people. He wanted a visible reminder to the young people to keep remembrance alive. My father would reflect in later years that he felt a special connection to the community when he had the opportunity to speak to young adults and children about his experiences in the Second World War. Likewise, I'm certain Dad saw the creation of the park as a way for the community to connect with those men and women who serve Canada, who put themselves in harm's way to protect people's rights and freedoms and earn the distinction of being a veteran. My father's thoughts of the park went beyond his generation. He said it's for all veterans, past, present, and future, with the Cenotaph as a poignant reminder for those who paid the ultimate price. If you were here today, he would be especially proud and thankful for the Park Committee as they take up the torch, the community, businesses, schools, and individuals that have come together to create such a beautiful park. This year alone, with the assistance of the students in various schools, they've been able to add 11 memorial benches, 23 flowering bushes, 11 trees, and each will have a plaque to tell its history, longevity, and the effects on the environment. Today we have a very young park. In 5 or 10 years, this place will be transformed even more. It's an environmental park, a centerpiece in Port Hawkesbury. It will be a year-round place for the community to enjoy and pause for reflection, with special emphasis on November the 11th. As a final reflection, my father said, "Canada is the best country in the world and something to be proud of. On behalf of my father, thank you."
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well said. I'd like now to call on Jack Landry from the Lions Club. I think you better come up here, Bill, because that's the secretary treasurer, and she's the one that looks after the money. I think Jack's got a donation in it. You might want to say a few words, too, Jackie.
On behalf of the Lions Club Port Hawkesbury, I'm here to present a check to help offset any expenses.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie. You got the ribbon, Bill. And they said to me, well, Belmont's grandson would be very nice if he could put the last bit of earth on that burning bush. So we had a big shovel, and I said, well, his grandson can't handle a big shovel, so I got a little shovel. And look at the size of the guy you got. If you please put the last scoop on the road. Thank everybody. for showing up today and tolerating this cold wind. And thanks, Bob, for showing up. The press and the radio station, and it's all free of charge, and that's the part I really like. Thank you very much. There's plaques in front on some of those benches, and there's plaques in front of some of the trees that'll describe what the trees are like.